Hello there. Thanks for joining us on TVC Midday News. I am Mike Okwache. We begin in Kaduna, where President Bola Tinubu has arrived the Armed Forces Command and Staff College in Jaji, where he is the special guest of honor at the graduation ceremony of Senior Course 25 of the course. 291 senior military officers are set to graduate, and among them are 15 senior officers from allied countries, while 12 of the graduating students are from various ministries, departments, and agencies. The Armed Forces Command and Staff College is a joint service institution established to train tactical and operational level officers. Other special guests at the event include the Governor of Kaduna State, Senator Ubasani, the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, and the service chiefs. The National Economic Council has resolved to consider negotiating a new minimum wage for workers. The Economic Council also agreed on interventions to be introduced to cushion the impact of fuel subsidy removal. With this new development, state governments will play a significant role to ensure the poor and vulnerable in the society benefit from the palliative measures. TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akonde reports.
Finally, there is a plan on how the federal government intends to cushion the immediate hardship caused by the removal of subsidy on petroleum products. But this time, the subnationals are expected to step up to the plate and drive the interventions that will give succor to the poor and vulnerable. At the end of the 6-hour-long National Economic Council meeting, the governors reeled out the immediate, medium, and long-term intervention plans.
Each state should begin to plan towards implementing a cash transfer program that will be based on their social register of the states. We also talked about ensuring that we paid our public servants outstanding liabilities, whichever way, if it's their pension, if it's their gratuities, if it's their leave bonuses, and so on and so forth.
There is a magnitude to which you pump in money into the system, and then inflation even gets higher. Exchange rate depreciates the more, and the more the exchange rate depreciates, the more there will be pressure for pump price of fuel to also rise. So, Council is fully aware of all this. We're juggling many balls in the air.
The federal government is also responding to all threats to food security and the need to push down rising food prices. At the National Economic Council, they directed the release of foodstuff from the National Grain Reserve to poor households already groaning from the spike in food prices.
NEMA, with the CBN, and indeed with the Ministry of Agric. And we have some buffer stock that is already there with NEMA. And the Council has directed the states will be allocated immediately substantial portion of food items, grains, and so on and so forth for distribution so that the prices of foodstuff will come down.
But on the brighter side, the National Economic Council was pleased with the news of an increase in revenue generated by the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
It was nice to know that they are ahead of their target for half year. And we expect that before or by the time the year ends, they would exceed. He also gave us some idea of what next year should be like.
Now the 3 tiers of government will share the burden to cushion the impact of fuel subsidy removal. They must also work in time and establish a social register that is truly reflective of the poor and vulnerable. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
To the courts now, former Minister of Aviation Stella Odua has pleaded not guilty to a 25-count charge of money laundering. Mr. Odua was arraigned by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission before the Federal High Court in Abuja. After taking plea, Justice Inyang-Ekwo ordered that the Attorney General take over the matter and that the EFCC should transfer the case file to the AGF in 2 weeks. While upholding the existing administrative bail conditions granted her by the EFCC, the court ordered that the terms of conditions also be made available to the AGF. The court adjourned to 17th of October for trial. And talking security, now the military has defended its burning of the MT Tura vessel with 150,000 metric tons of stolen crude oil. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, says that the troops were carrying out legitimate orders by setting it ablaze. He also gave details on how troops intercepted a truckload of cannabis. Sifon Essien has more on this.
A forum that provides the military authorities the opportunity to provide updates on operations across the various theaters. It's the first time Major General Edward Buba will be talking to journalists since he assumed the role of Director of Defense Media Operations.
Indeed, on the 15th of July, troops of Operation Awase during stop and search operation along road Ajilete, Owode, in Yewa South local government area of Ogun State, intercepted and arrested a truck with 2 occupants, one a Ghanaian, the other a Nigerian. A search on the truck led to the discovery of 702 cartons of 12 caliber Resta cartridges, each carton containing 25 cartridges. Also arrested were 250 packets containing 10 cartridges of black pellets. Wow. And then
he defended the burning of a large vessel laden with stolen crude oil by troops, saying they were carrying out legitimate orders.
Is that in the military, we work with instructions. Whatever instruction we get, we operate with it. If it is reviewed, we will operate with it. We don't make the laws. We work with the laws that are given to us.
While troops succeeded in busting drug trafficking rings and intercepting ammunition meant for separatist groups, the new methods adopted by criminal gangs continue to throw up more challenges. Sifon Essien, TVC News, Abuja.
Let's turn our attention to the National Assembly, where members of the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on International Boundary Dispute between Nigeria and Cameroon are engaged at the potential loss of 2 communities of about 10,000 hectares of land and its people to Cameroon. At the opening of an investigative hearing, the legislators called on the government to ensure Nigeria does not cede affected communities after the Bakassi loss years ago. National Assembly correspondent Joke Adisa reports.
In June 2006, Nigeria signed the Green Tree Agreement, marking the formal transfer of Bakassi Peninsula in Cross River State to Cameroon. 17 years down the line, Nigeria is on the verge of losing Danare and Biajua communities in the same state to Cameroon. This is on account of the failure of the Technical Committee of the Cameroon-Nigeria Mixed Commission to locate Pillar 113A.
Introduce yourself and the community representative.
The task before this ad hoc committee is to investigate and assess the potential land encroachment by the Cameroonian government.
If we're not careful, we may have Nigerian citizens becoming stateless. So it's very important that whatever we do, we do it the right way. Also knowing that there are human rights issues involved.
The National Boundary Commission says government is doing its best to avert a repeat of the Bakassi experience. Its Director General is confident that political and diplomatic means will be used to resolve the impasse.
It's not as if now we want to fight to say, we must take wherever our people are. We have seen boundaries cutting across communities. Part of it will be in another country, another part in another country.
The legislators say they are taken aback by the disappearance of Pillar 113A as representatives of the communities point accusing fingers at the government.
Biajua is itself a Commonwealth grave site for the regiment of the Second World War. Nigeria. What Cameroon was looking for in Bakassi was oil. What they are looking for here is the forest.
For certain, maybe political reasons or certain interests, the Nigerian government wanted to forcefully cede that part to Cameroon because they felt that we are from the minority.
How many boundaries are straight lines? If, for whatever reason, mistakes have been made, we should be gracious enough to admit that we have made a mistake.
It's clear from your presentation that the Cameroonians are not at this time pushing
One wonders what the Nigerians are excited about to drive these people away from us.
The HADOC committee says it will embark on a fact-finding visit to the affected communities before putting together its report for the consideration of the House in due course. Jokeyatsa, TVC News, Abuja.
To health matters now, the Kaduna State government has alerted citizens in the state of the outbreak of diphtheria in Kafanchan, Jama'a local government area. This was contained in a statement released by the press secretary to the Kaduna State Governor, Muhammad Lawal. Now, Governor Uba Sani directed the Ministry of Health to send an emergency team to investigate the cases and implement immediate measures. Medical authorities have moved affected individuals to hospitals, including active case searches, contact tracing, and community sensitization. TVC News gathered that the number of children in the isolation ward has significantly increased from 5 to 17 in one day, indicating a rapid spread of the outbreak. Residents have been advised to take preventive measures and report any suspected cases. And I have joining me now the medical director of Sir Patrick Ibrahim Yakowa Memorial Hospital, Kafanchan, Dr. Isaac Nathaniel. Dr. Nathaniel, it's good to have you join me right now. It's quite heartbreaking to hear of the increase in the level of the infection of diphtheria amongst children. Now, can you make us understand how critical this is and what's really on ground there where you are?
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. We were alerted of an epidemic of respiratory tract infection in Kafanchan community, in which most of the victims were children between the age of 2 and 16. And we're told that most of them could not eat. A significant proportion of them present with symptoms such as headache, fever, generalized body pains, weakness, and failure to be able to eat. And there were also rumors that there were deaths recorded, but we've not had any death in our hospital. So we sent a fact-finding mission involving medical personnel, medical doctors, and laboratory scientists to go and find out what the trouble was. And they discovered that it was actually a respiratory tract infection that is plaguing the children. So a significant proportion of them have been moved to the hospital with ambulances, and they are receiving treatment.
All right, let's start from the issue of level of awareness. There is the notion that people are not very aware of the preventive measures against diphtheria, or even what the disease is in the first instance. Can you share that with us? How knowledgeable are the people at this time?
Yes, there is no significant awareness, but we are trying to sensitize the community and the surrounding communities on the need to be careful, on the need to use face masks, since it's a respiratory tract infection. And also, they should be careful on touching things carelessly. They need to wash their hands. Basically, all the preventive strategies for COVID-19 is part of what we are encouraging among the community, and we're not having challenge. Then also the issue of distancing among they shouldn't come too close to children who are very, very sick, because we believe that it may be part of the pathway through which those infections occur. So we've sensitized them significantly.
Mm. All right. What are the visible symptoms of this diphtheria for people to get to know that when you see this, this could likely be an indication that it could be diphtheria?
Actually, the laboratory diagnosis is yet to come out. We've not received the result yet. We're still waiting. So we don't know if it is diphtheria or a viral illness. Samples have been collected and sent. Though the common symptoms that the patients present with include fever, headache, generalized body pains, swelling of the neck, difficult swallowing. Those are the common symptoms that the patients present with.
All right, could you share with us, because following this outbreak that we are receiving, the report, what is the response of the state government so far to this?
The response has been fantastic. Immediately, I was notified within hours, within an hour or so, I made arrangements for the staffs in my hospital to go to the community, identify those who are infected, and we're able to get samples from them. Then we notified the epidemiologic units in the state capital of the problem we are having. And in less than 24 hours, they sent a team down to our hospital to assist us. So by virtue of all the we've been able to contain the problem on ground, and we've not been overwhelmed currently.
Okay. Dr. Isaac Nathaniel, Medical Director of Sir Patrick Ibrahim Yakowa Memorial Hospital in Kafanchan. Thank you very much for speaking to us from Kaduna State.
Thank you so much.
Here in Lagos, the Ministry of Works and Housing has announced a temporary closure of the Alaka Kosteni Gomu section of the Eko Bridge for another 40 days from Sunday. In a statement signed by the Federal Controller of Works, Olukorede Kesha, the closure is as a result of the damage noticed on some of the bridge members, which needed to be urgently worked upon. The statement also stated that any further delay in the repairs and replacement of some of these bridge members could undermine the integrity and structural stability of the entire bridge. Mr. Kesha said that the closure is to allow the contractor to carry out the necessary repairs with the aim of restoring the integrity of the bridge during the stipulated time frame. The service lane leading to Ikmori will be available along with some alternative routes provided for motorists plying the route from Western Avenue and its environs. Poultry farmers have appealed to the federal government to urgently intervene in the dwindling fortunes and danger confronting the agri sector to avert its imminent collapse. This was one of the demands made by a cross-section of poultry farmers under the aegis of the Poultry Association of Nigeria at a media briefing in Ibadan. Olaide Oyewole has more.
According to reports, the agri sector has been contributing an average of 24% to the national GDP since 2018, providing job opportunities for Nigerians across its value chain. In 2019, the Central Bank of Nigeria categorized the poultry subsector as the most commercialized agri sector, with a net worth of 1.6 trillion, which was about 25% of the sector's contribution to the GDP. However, it appears that the sector can no longer sustain this momentum, as stakeholders in the poultry industry have expressed their concern about the current challenges that are pushing the industry towards imminent collapse. They identified unavailability of maize as a major threat to the survival of their birds.
Some of these challenges include and not limited to the following: high cost of feed, caused partly by raw material shortage, given the seasonal of the major raw materials inputs, namely maize, that form about 60% requirement, and soybean meal, among others.
They are also urging the government to declare a state of emergency on maize by permitting its importation, as well as addressing other pertinent issues such as access to loans, among other challenges bedeviling the industry.
that state emergency be declared on maize and soya production through the implementation of farm clearing, seed and fertilizer supply. Grain should be planted all year round, making it adequate, making adequate use of irrigation and of our various river basins. The Western Federal Government, they feed the, what is it called now? IDPs and correctional centers. They feed them every day. Why can't they buy eggs and use it in feeding them? We will not even have enough egg to sell. Look at all the inmates all over the country.
The stakeholders expressed belief that addressing these bottlenecks will lead to a reduction in the existing high prices of the commodity, thereby providing immediate relief to the struggling sector. Oladio Yewole, TVC News, Ibadan.
And to some entertainment now, practitioners in the nation's film industry are advocating constant promotion of Nigeria's cultural heritage through movies. This discussion came to the fore as Nollywood actor Adekola Odunlade premiered his new movie called Orisha in Lagos. TVC News correspondent Theophilus Elama was there.
It's a celebration of the cultural heritage of the Yoruba race expressed in diverse ways. This expression, seen in the outfits, food and other forms, is born out of the need to promote the nation's cultural heritage. And what better way to do that than to showcase it in our movies?
The thing is, we can't do the Batman. It's not indigenous to us. We can't do Batman, we can't do Spider-Man. That's not indigenous to us. What's indigenous to us is what we grew up with. Our fathers, Oshun, Ogun, and all of the gods, the deities that were. And that's exactly what played out in this film.
We begin to see more and more of this. This is just the beginning for the Yoruba movie industry. People out there actually want to see indigenous films. They want to see movies shot in, local languages. And I must tell you, Yoruba has it.
Nollywood actor Odunlade Adekola is premiering his movie Orisha, which is born out of the need to ensure the nation's cultural heritage is passed on to generations.
It's just it's a belief, that is woven with culture. So I wouldn't say, let us sideline this because we say it is diabolic. It's our culture. Embrace the culture, celebrate the culture, sell the culture. Because at the end of the day, every day, because we all travel around the world, we see many cultures, we are embracing other cultures and we are forgetting our culture. And culture comes to a very high level of identity.
It is a movie that culturally based. It promotes the tradition and culture of the people. And since that is what is trending now, I expect people to gain a lot from it.
Everything that we can see inspired me to Orisha movie. Everything, all our culture, yeah.
Practitioners here believe promoting our culture in movies will ensure it doesn't go into extinction. They also posit that going this route will ensure generations to come have content they can use to learn their culture. Theophilus Elama, TVC News, Lagos.